Real Talk disclaimer. The information provided by the host on this platform is for education and awareness purposes only. All information provided on this platform is provided in good faith. We make no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, validity, and reliability of information shared by the host or show guests. The views and opinions of guests on the show do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the host of Real Talk. Under no circumstances do the host, show guests, sponsors, or affiliates assume responsibility for the actions of any viewer.
I'm Z. Andre Huff, your Gadsden School Board representative for District 3. In 2017, I vowed to be the voice for our community, and I've done just that. I was instrumental in hiring Mr. Tony Reddick, our system's first African-American superintendent. I served as the first board chairman as a minority voted by my colleagues for 2 years on the first elective Gadsden School Board. I led with integrity and transparency and promoted fair and diverse policies, insisting daily safety and security of all students and staff. I continue to promote a quality education that will shape all children into college and career readiness. Just as I've fought in the past, I'm determined to keep on fighting for our community in District 3. On August 23rd, I'm asking for your support at the polls. Please help me help you. Re-elect Z. Andre Huff to the Gadsden School Board of Education District 3, the vowed voice that fights for you. This is a political paid advertisement to re-elect Z. Andre Huff to the Gadsden School Board of Education District 3. I'm Z. Andre Huff, and I approve this message. Welcome to Real Talk. Glad to have all of you to join us on today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a wonderful day here in Gadsden, Alabama. We're only 5 days away before the great election. 5 days away. I don't know. Have you tried to reconnect some other kind of way?
Me?
That's you?
Yeah. What happened?
I see another person trying to. Okay, all right. We kicked it out. We're good. We're having some technical difficulties for those that have joined us and saw it was a big pause, but we are here and we're up and we are running. Several ways to connect right here on Real Talk. It did it again. I don't know who that is. Several ways. Facebook Live. That's right. Facebook Live. You can join us right there on with Real Talk, Pastor Z and Bishop T. You also can join us on Z Andre Huff page and also Bishop T page. Also, we have a YouTube channel, Real Talk with Pastor Z and Bishop T. Like and subscribe. We also have a Twitter page, R Talk with Z and T at R Talk with Z _T. Do want you to join us. We also have a conference call line. That number is 1-646-224-5980. I think that PIN number is, let me make sure. I thought I knew it by heart. PIN number is 334-1986. I did think that was it. 1986. So we welcome you to Real Talk. How have your day been, Bishop? Are you exhausted?
I was exhausted a week ago. Is that me? You hear me? Feedback? You getting feedback from me?
I'm not.
Okay. Maybe it stopped. I am a little fatigued, but we are still pushing forward. We have 4 or 5 more days, and so we're gonna be boots on the ground until 6:59 Tuesday evening.
Yes, yes.
So we're enjoying it though.
We're enjoying it.
We're
It's something different. We're enjoying it. We're working for it. Hello, Chef Adrian Terry. Let's go ahead and make our speak to all of our viewers. Mr. Charles Hawkins. Hello, Miss Conteria Williams. It's my kinfolk, Miss Tasha Towles. Hello, how are you? Miss Cynthia Hoyt. I got to get that right. I'm sorry, Hoyt. Katrina Davis. Hello. All right. Feedback, but okay now. Okay, all right. Thank all of you for joining us. Thank all of you for joining us. We have a great show. I hear something noise. I don't know what that is.
I'm not getting the feedback that I was.
Okay. Well, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Okay. I think that we are getting exhausted from the noise. There's a lot of noise. Do you hear the noise?
Would you allow me to do a demonstration?
Yes. Go ahead. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Did I get that right?
Do you think I could get me a spot on the app with that emoji of myself doing that?
You probably could. Okay, a few things we want to address before we bring our guests on today. And before we bring our guests on, let me just let you know we have a wonderful surprise. We are honored to have none other than Pastor Stephen Hoyt, former Birmingham City Councilman of 16 years. He's going to be on our show today. He's right here from Gadsden, Alabama. And we're so proud of the work that he has done, and we want him to share with us on today. On yesterday, our county commissioner for District 5, Mr. Jeffrey Washington, put together a pep rally for our Gadsden City High School Titans football team, band, cheerleaders. I think dance team was there also. But they was there on the Carver Square, right in District 3, right in our neck of the woods. So let me just share some things with you all, because we hear a lot of noise, and I want people to be careful during political season. When you hear people say things, a lot of times they're playing games. They're playing with your minds if you don't know any better. Now, those that was there at the pep rally knew what went on. So whoever was the little person that ran back to tell my opponent a bunch of lies, next time if you're going to tell it right. Now, I got an idea who that person is, because it's the same person that has been running telling me a lot of stuff about my opponent. So I call that, I can't say the word, but they stirring it. So let me just say this, and Bishop, you was there, right?
I was there.
All right.
I thought it was listen. I thought it was an awesome event. I thought Mr. Washington, thank him so much for doing it. And I think what sealed it for me, what brought it over the top, was a statement that I think you made, because I hadn't even thought about it. It was on Carver Square.
Carver Square.
It was on Carver Square. We can host in our neighborhoods and have awesome events. I thought it
Awesome
was an
events.
awesome event.
Awesome. It was perfect. I made the statement because I was allowed to come up. And here's what he did. He allowed the people that are currently serving in seats for District 3 just to come up and say something to the parents as well as to the young men and young women that was there. They had Mr. Reddick there to speak. They had me to speak, and they had Mr. Worthy to speak. Now, I made this statement before I go any further. I made the statement that I've never seen this in my lifetime, where we had a pep rally from our local school right here on Carver Square, and I continue to be correct about it. Now, my opponent had made statements. Well, Carver did it every week when they played. Was I living during Carver days? Were you living during Carver days? Would we have saw Carver and the football team and the band go out there? I think my daddy might have been. My uncle played for played in the band for Carver. I wasn't alive, so what I said is correct, Mister. That appeared to be saying some things that is not true. Okay. He went on to say that Mr. Washington was unethical because he threw that pep rally all alone, trying to make it a campaign rally for me because I'm in a close race with him. I don't know where he got that stat. I don't know if he done some type of survey to see if we're in a close race. I don't know if that's true or not. And a lot of stuff come out of his mouth ain't true. He just say a lot of stuff that somewhat is believable to the folks that like to hear him talk. Okay. Now, for his campaign, I'm probably was one of the few candidates that was there that didn't have a campaign shirt on. Am I correct?
Right. You didn't have a campaign shirt on.
I had a regular shirt on, and I did that on purpose. And the reason I did that, Bishop, look at me, Bishop. I need you looking at me because I need to know that you're interested in what I'm saying. The reason why, back up a little bit, too close. Back
Oh,
up.
what you
6 feet,
saying?
6 feet, 6 feet. The reason why I did not wear a campaign shirt because I did not think it was a event where we should have been campaigning when we having this pep rally for these young people. When I was given the mic, the only thing I addressed was our fans cheering for our young men and young women when they're out there on the field, that we need to cheer more. Never mention August 23rd, never mention vote for me. So if it was a rally for me, I would have done a lot of campaigning with the crowd that was there. Now, if that individual was so concerned as he say he is about our young men and young women, why he wasn't there? And for the record, he haven't been to a school board meeting in 5 years. So you want to be on the school board and you want to do all these amazing things, but there's no evidence, especially when you made statements to Mr. Worthy on air, on record, in your archives, as you say you record everything, that you didn't think that a black could become mayor in Gaston, Alabama. So do I want you talking to my little young men and women in our community? What are you going to say to them? I mean, this gas in Alabama, if Obama can be the president of the United States, we talking about gas in Alabama. I believe our young men and women can be all they can be. All they can be. Uh, just want to address another thing. Um, we've been hearing a lot about reading scores. Reading scores. Yes, they're not the best they can be at Adams. They're not the best they could be at Strickland. What people fail to know and realize is that Adams, and we got some people, which is a counselor. I see her on here at Adams. Adams and Strickland have a large population of EL students, non-English speaking students. When they calculate and figure up the reading scores, they also are included in the reading scores. That's why your reading scores are as low as they are, because you have 20% of EL students in those particular schools. So it's not District 3 children that's not able to read. They made a statement that they're going to build a library year one when they get on the school board. They're going to build a library year one when they get on the school board. A school board, he can build a school board for 30 years. He'll never build a library because school boards don't build libraries. City council and mayors do. So there's a lot of things that y'all are hearing. Please block out the noise. And I'm not listening anymore to the regret or the noise that we've been hearing, because it frustrates me, and I just hate it for the people that may not know. He's made the statement. He's been knocking on doors and calling folk. Said folk don't even know who their representative is. District 3 representative is on the school board. Well, I've been on the school board for 6 years. We have a school board meeting every month. If they don't know who they school board representative is, apparently they're not coming to meetings, because I'm sitting right there with District 3 right up under my name. So I don't know, if this stuff that he just coming up with just to try to make people look bad, as he have done most recently. But it's a lot of noise. Now, I've heard him, and I'm going to say this. I heard him the other day defend Heather New like no other. I heard him the other day defend the PAC like no other. He talked about Craig Ford so bad, said it sounds stalkish. Well, look like every time you turn around, he got something to say about Mr. Washington. That stalkish go several ways. It's over with, man. Just realize that the commissioner is Mr. Jeffrey Washington, and you can keep trying to find things to attack him on, but I would love to see one day that you will defend an African American in position like you defending Heather New. I would like to see that, because all I ever hear you do is dog out all the African American politicians. You done talked about Cynthia Toles, you dog her out. You dog out Derrick Williams. You done dogged me out. You done dogged out Avery. You done dogged out Mr. Worthy. And then let me say Mr. Avery. And the list goes on, Mr. Washington. But if you go, why don't you defend them sometime? These people look like you. This is in your own community. How can you even justify defending the other race and you never have anything good to say about your own? You're the only one who knows it all. You're the only one got the knowledge. You're the only one got the right answer. You're smarter than everybody else. So I think we got to get to the point where we build our community up, brother. Build our community up, Bishop T.
Build.
Unity. I think we got to be about unity. Um, if if we're gonna move gas, then we got to come together, and we can't listen to the noise. We got to block out the noise when we hear the noise, and recognize noise when you hear it. You agree?
Exactly.
You
Block-
preoccupied over there?
No, I'm not. I'm hearing you. I'm looking at the comments, and then we kind of
Oh,
went
okay,
fuzzy.
okay.
I'm
We fuzzy?
we back now. We went fuzzy.
Okay, I've been having some internet issues.
Yeah, we fuzzy. But yeah, we have to unify. We have to unify as a people. We have to unify, especially for where we are now, for the opportunity that is in front of us now. So yes, and then we have to realize too, what progress for one is progress for all. We can do better together than we can apart and separate. We may not always agree, and I know it sounds what we always hear, but we have to agree to disagree and work together for the good of our communities. Now, why you think I'm not listening? Paying
Yeah,
attention?
I like that because you
Did
looking
you hear what
down.
I said? Why you putting everybody's comments?
Yeah, I did. I
Okay.
appreciate you. Yeah. Well, it's time that we bring on a very seasoned man who have done it for 16 years, and I'm sure he heard a lot of noise during his time. And he's going to share some things with us on how we could possibly bring um, get our people um, together in our community. None other than Mr. Stephen Hoyt, former Birmingham City Councilman for 16 years. Everybody give a warm welcome to the first timer on Real Talk, Mr. Stephen Hoyt. How you doing, Mr. Hoyt?
I'm doing well. Good evening. I guess I need to straighten this out. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. How
Well,
are you? Move a little bit more to this way.
okay. This way.
There you go. There you go. Now
Okay.
you're in there.
Very good.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well, let me say good evening to Pastor Z and Bishop
Good
T.
evening to you.
I like that. I'm gonna be Reverend S. Well, I'm delighted to be with two people that I admire and have watched them grow into who they are today, and it just gives me great joy that when I do visit Gaston, that I can see visible changes that are being made through you all's efforts. And I would say this about uh, about Bishop T is the fact that she has impacted this community in in different ways, and both of you all, from ministry to mentoring our young people and empower them in ways in which sometimes unknown, because sometimes people don't see you um, and the work that you're doing, but that don't mean that you're not working.
That's
And
right.
it's really a great joy to be with you all this evening. And I think it needs to be said that it's you all don't think it robbery to offer yourselves for service. You've done it, um, Pastor Z, and of course Pastor Bishop T is proposing to do it.
Mhm.
And on a different level. And I think you don't need to be elected to do good work, but if you are elected, you get to do more work. How about that?
That's right.
And
That's
Exactly.
right.
so that's important. And I think sometimes people get confused about Christian folk, religious folk in government. But you need to understand that if you look at Jesus and his life and ministry, it was a political issue because Jesus was telling folks that they can be free even though they might be in chains, because freedom is not a state of being, but freedom is a state of mind.
Hmm.
And I think oftentimes, if we have this understanding that we are free, Mandela can stay in a jail for 27 years because he was free in his mind.
And it's mine.
In his
Hmm.
mind. Didn't have
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with his mind. Paul wrote most of his letters from the jail. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to understand that the freedom is a state of mind, not a state of being, and so that's how you impact, and you all are doing that on a daily basis, and I really appreciate that in the work that you all employ, and I think Gadsden is going to do well uh, with Pastor Z and Bishop T. Uh, I can imagine what that's going to look like, but we're very proud of your efforts, and I like it when you're tired because people want to know that you're working for this vote and that we cannot assume that that you're taking it for granted. You can't. You got to knock on them doors. You got to stand out on those corners. And I'm telling you, I can't tell you what to do if I hadn't done it myself. And
Right.
folks appreciate it. So, Hoyt, I'm gonna vote for you because I saw you out on that corner with that sign. That's right. And sometimes you might be out there by yourself, but people
Mm-hmm.
see you and they want to see you work and earn the vote. And that's what you got to communicate to your voters is that you're earning it. I live I lived in Inslee, and it's quite healing. Kind of and you got to walk a bunch of steps to get these people's door. And this lady might have had about 35 steps from the bottom, and I made it up to the top. I'm out of breath and all. I said, "Ma'am," I said, "You got to give me this vote." I can say, I all them steps. you know, and would you vote? She said, "You know what? You the first one that ever did it." She said, "Okay." So that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a difference, and I think for all practical purposes, you got to connect with the people that you say you want to serve. And I share with you another situation I had. Um, that was hadn't been elected probably a year, and I was at the gas station in my district, and this lady came out of the store. She said, "Councilor Hoyt." I said, "Yes." And I was pumping gas. She said, "You're not going to remember me." She said, "But I voted for you." I said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "I remember." I said, "You got the blue house trimmed in white." I said, "There's a computer in your living room." She said, "Man," she said, "you are incredible." I said, "And matter of fact, how are those grandchildren that you raised?" And she said, she just surprised. Now I couldn't remember her name. I
Mm-hmm.
can remember the conversation I had with her. I can remember what was going on at the time that I met her, and and so I guess 3 4 years forward, I'm talking sharing the same story with this young man, and he said, "Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about." He said, "Because that's my mother." And she
Wow.
said, "And you had her." She said, "And she said to me that you got her vote for life." I kept saying, she said, "Because you remember." And I said, "Wow, small world." But that's the kind of impact that you all can make when you get out there and knock on doors and meet folk and become a part of their narrative. That's important to be a part of people's narrative. That they can say. And I often say this, and some people don't like what I say, but anyway, I've been shy all my life. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but I tell folk, the crackhead got my number, so I don't have numbers where people can't contact me. If you want my number, and one guy, I called him back on a Saturday. He said, "I can't believe you called me back on a Saturday, your day." I said, "Yes, sir. Did you call me?" I said,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "I'm returning your call." He said, "Man, that just don't happen." I said, "But it should happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you ask people to vote for you.
Right.
You offer yourself for service, and then you don't want to be bothered by the people."
Right. Wow.
Well, that's condescending if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not being a true servant leader. And so, and not that you don't have to have you have time for yourself. And I tell you this too, because I don't mind conversations. Uh, my wife used to make me stay in the car. She said, "Listen, I don't have 2 hours in the grocery store, so you just stay in the car. I go in here and do this grocery shopping because I don't have this kind of time this evening." So,
You go in the grocery store, you're gonna be talking to some
oh,
folks.
listen, it's gonna happen. People want to know, and a lot of times they're testing you too to
Hmm.
see if in fact you're gonna be who you say you're gonna be, and that's what it's all about. But I think you all have connected in ways that I've seen and observed you, and you're gonna have those same kind of narratives that I just shared because you are accessible to the people.
Mr. Hoyt, um, I told Bishop T that when she got in touch with you, I said, "You got you somebody." I said, "That man is resourceful. That man served in Birmingham." I didn't know that you had served 16 years. I knew you had served for a long time and you finally just stepped away from it.
Right.
But I knew for years that you were serving in Birmingham. I said, that man is knowledgeable. And I'm telling you, whatever you need, he can direct you in the right direction. You have always come off as a humble man. Now, I think your sister and my brother was real good friend Todd.
Okay. Yeah.
He's always talk about your sister Kathy. Am I
Kathy.
right?
Right.
Okay. And I remember him talking a lot about her a lot. And I remember seeing you and knowing of you, but not quite knowing you. You got a lot of gas in Alabama folks. Man, giving you a lot of shout out
Yeah.
on here. A lot of
They've
them.
been very kind to me over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
Because unity has become an issue, and I don't think it just has become an issue. It's been an issue. Um, how did you deal with trying to unify other leaders on the council with yourself, and even the community? As you know, Bishop T say all the time, District One, we are one. That's her saying.
That's ironic
Uh, so,
that was my theme.
oh
At
really?
the time I was that was Franklin Beverly Mays. We are one, and every advertisement I ever done is we are one,
Yeah.
and it's just ironic that when she told me that was her theme, I said, well, listen, for 16 years that's what it was. We are one. You know.
So what can you do? What did you do in order to not just unite your constituents
Yeah.
with you,
Yeah.
but in order to do anything as a board member, as a council member,
Hmm.
and people that have that is actually representing different part of Birmingham?
Right.
How were y'all able to accomplish things by coming together? What kind of conversations
Yeah.
did you
Well,
have?
I think you rally people around ideas, ideas that really speaks to benefiting everyone's quality of life. When you talk about the crossplex, which is a end up being over $100 million development that's in my district, and to get my colleagues to understand that this really wasn't about me as a person who represented the district, but this was really benefit the city of Birmingham. It just happened to be in my district, but you got to drive that home because see, sometimes people, get the understanding that, it's just about Hoyt, and it's not
Hmm.
about Hoyt. It's all about others, and what you have to also do is to support others and other districts and things that they want to do.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. That was a housing development, public housing development, where one of our sister churches was there, and Miss Parker represented that area, and she represented the Collegeville community, part of her district. And these kids were getting leaving their lane because the train would stay on the tracks, and several kids lost their legs, their arms,
Mm.
and so it was just became a real health situation. And so when she was trying to build this bridge, I went over there and I supported her when she was trying to get U.S. Steel to move their plant from out there because the people were getting sick and that they were dying, getting cancer and all that. I rallied and they was able to get U.S. Steel to come out there and got the councils, and we took a bus, and it's not in my district, but this is
Mm-hmm.
in her district. But I want to understand what they were dealing with, and so I could, convene a bus, and we took several stakeholders out there to see what it is that she was dealing with, and so, getting involved with others and their ideas about how they think their district needs to be shaped. Well, I want you to know that that woman, even though Council Park ended up dying as a result of cancer, but she didn't die in vain
Mm.
because that plant is no longer there. You hear me? And they have a bridge now that takes them over, and so the kids don't have to be in arm's way. And so,
Mm.
but that's how you do that. And then sometimes you got to, there's another psychology that you have to use, and I use that too. Is that sometimes you got to let folks know it ain't that important, because if they think it's too important to you, then they won't vote with you.
Right.
Okay, and so sometimes you got to act like it doesn't matter, and then they will. And I've had to do that too. So you got to be you got to use some psychology, if you will, when you're dealing with people, because you're dealing with human dynamics, and
Yeah.
so everybody's not on the same page. But I think there's a middle ground in which you get people there, you know, and you rally behind the benefit of the whole, and not necessarily just your district.
Right. And I think that's important because I think a lot of people try to go in and saying what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this.
Yeah,
But they have to realize that they're one vote, and a lot of recommendations
right.
doesn't even come from them.
Mhm.
Like
Well,
with the
and
school
that's
board.
key. That's key because and I used to remind my constituents that I only had one vote, and I got to get and work with other councilors to get them to vote on something that happens to be properly, proper in my district. And so, um, but that's what you have to do in order to get people to rally around what it is you want to do. So it's give and take. And I would tell anybody, one of my strategies is that I lost deliberately. I intended to lose because to me these little battles really doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when the big stuff, now when I win big
Mm-hmm.
because I done lost on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? You got to
Mm-hmm.
see. You got to think when you're on that count. You're dealing with other people. You got to think, and so if it looks like you're doing too much,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
people will arbitrarily hold you back. So
Right.
you got to lose deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you some business because I'm out of politics, so I can
Mm-hmm.
share my little what's name my little tactics, if you will,
Yeah.
strategies, more or less, and so you lose purposely, and I did because I know what I want to get.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, that's fine. I act like I'm upset, and I'm not upset really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at this other thing down the road because I'm gonna need these $60 million to start this crossplex. So
Mm-hmm.
hey, and I've had some colleagues who told me the morning we was getting ready to take the votes and put the money in place for the crossplex, and the crossplex is a multi-purpose. Used to be the old state fairgrounds. We all used to go to Birmingham to go to the fair. The big fair, and so but that's where it's called a crossplex. We got an indoor aquatics pool and indoor track, one of the fastest tracks in the southeast. And of course we have a hotel, we have a Starbucks there, and the Starbucks ended up being one of the first of its kind in an urban area, particularly in the South. And so I just want you to know we worked on that. We developed a strategic plan. When I was in office, first got elected, we met for a year, with stakeholders, just trying to determine, it's all right to have your agenda, but it's better when you have our agenda,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And so that, everything is not predicated on what you want, but
Mm-hmm.
predicated on what we want. And so they had buy-in. And so if you let people have buy-in, then they can't criticize you when things, don't go, because you can say, well, you were part of the plan. You
Right.
had input, and you have to remind people that. And we did that, but on that plan was to redevelop the prospect. That was, that I hope came when I was a neighborhood person. I could see the vision. My background is planning and development, and so I could envision what could happen with this property, and started that whole dynamic, that whole conversation about redevelopment. And some people early on didn't want to redevelop this property because they said it was a historical site, and that's where they held the children of the movement out there in the barn or something. And I said, well, we're gonna go out there and take some pictures, but we need to tear this down, and we could still capture the history, but you can't hold on to something when it could be such a great benefit to others, and you can improve people's quality of life. And so now we got, got about 3 or 4 restaurants that are there. We got a Starbucks, got a hotel, and then people even criticize the hotel. They said, "Well, we want a 5-star hotel." Well, there's not a 5-star hotel in the city of Birmingham. Period.
Mm.
Zero. Not even the Sheraton is a 5-star hotel. I said, y'all are just being ridiculous. I said, we want a nice place that our folk could come and participate. And I can tell you, it's been 4 years, I believe now, 5 years, no, 4 years, and that hotel has never been underutilized in 4 years. He probably made most of his money in the first 2 years, all his money back, his profits, because it has been, packed every week, every week. And so, um, but today, we have a very thriving 5 Points West now, as a result of that. But it took me working with others.
Yeah. That's key, working with others, and that's I learned that getting on the board, and a lot of people come in, they immediately think they're gonna save gas and by themselves. You can't do nothing by yourself.
Cannot.
Uh, and we got to remember that. Bishop, you have anything for Mr. Hoyt?
I do. I do. One of the things that resonates with me and resonated with me when I met with you after deciding to enter into the councilman race. So I really want to ask two things or just get you to expound on two things. One of the things that you shared with me and that you talked a great deal about was good government.
That's right.
So I want you to kind of talk about that. And then the second thing is 16 years of service, leaving on a high note.
Yeah.
So many times people outstay their tenure
Yeah.
and they leave as a result of some scandal. And I think it's worth,
Yeah.
regardless of what
Yeah.
people say, it is worth
Right.
making note that it was 16 years scandal free.
Free. Absolutely.
Some people leave as a result of scandal, and then um, some of us are defeated or whatever. But just to make that decision that I've served my time, I've served my purpose, I've fulfilled my purpose, leaving on a high note. If you can just, those two things, just kind of
Yeah.
expound on those two things.
Well, and I think, for all practical purposes, you have to be transparent. You know, one of the things that I did not do, I didn't do closed door meetings. And my office stayed open. I don't care who came in. My door stay open. because I'm there on behalf of the people, and so there's no benefit for me. The benefit has to be for the people. I advocate for everybody else, and I'm the last one that advocates for me. And so that was part of my disposition when I was on the council. But to also know that when God places you somewhere, He expects you to make a difference, and you got to make a difference in the lives of the people. You know, and so we try to do that. But you're right, you cannot serve 16 years, and it doesn't happen very often and scandal free. And that doesn't mean that people didn't come after you. Didn't mean if they didn't try to get you to do something that you knew was unethical. 'Cause they do come now. You know, but you got to know who you are before you even go to City Hall. And I'm glad that I knew who I was. And I grew up dirt poor. I grew up in Sixth Street Project, so people, I grew up with the hand downs, the hand ups, hand across, all that. So, but one of the things I said, one of the mayors asked me one time. He said, "What you want? What you want?" And because I wasn't budging, and he said, "What you want?" I said, "Man, I don't want anything." I said, "I wear my suits till they shine." I said, I said, I live within my means, and I ain't got no side chicks, and so I don't need nothing, but good government. That's what I told him, but good government. And so you have to stand by principle, and I think that principle has to be in you, before you even get there. And sometimes, you suffer because, if you don't go the way people think you need to go, they'll isolate you.
Yeah.
But you know what? I told them that I was not a twin and that I was born a single. So it don't matter with me being isolated because I'm good with that. Okay. And that's a part of knowing who you are, you know.
So the people that isolated you, let me ask you this question: were they of the black and brown community as well?
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes they're the main ones. And then
Yeah,
they
we
have these,
seen it happen in this city.
yeah, well, and then they have you to come to meetings and say, well, we can't get no work in the city. I said, well, don't want you to come on to City Hall and then I'm gonna back you up. You think they can? What it
But
says, a
I'm
sad
asking
dog.
you,
It says a sad dog that won't wag his own tail.
yeah. Okay,
I,
so let me ask you this. This is what I'm asking you. Was there other council persons that looked like you that went against you?
I wouldn't
That
say they went against me. I would say that they had their own convictions and I had mine,
mm-hmm.
and I wasn't gonna compromise with mine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing. Don't compromise. Be who you are. One of the former mayors, and we didn't start off good, but we ended up good. And he said to me, he said before the brown bag, he said you tell them what to do. He said after the brown bag, they tell you what to do. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife told me this. She said, "Listen, you better be the best counselor that you could possibly be." She said, "Because I won't be on your arm." She said, "Now, and God rest his soul." She said, "But did you see uh, Kobe Bryant's wife with him? He got in trouble out there in Denver. Didn't see her not one day in that courtroom." She said, "That's gonna be me." And so, and so you have to have those kind of resolve, but you also got to have people at home supporting you in that manner. Because it's about checks and balances. That's one of the things I love about the CME Church is that we have a bishop, we have a presiding elder, and then we have the our constituent, I mean our congregation, and so it's about checks and balances. I don't ever want to be in a place where there are no checks and balances, because it's easy to be consumed. If to think that you got a little power might be overboard. You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes when you elect official, people see you as celebrities. You can say what you want, but they do view you like that. And so sometimes that can go to your head,
Mm-hmm.
and so you got to have some balance, and but the thing about it is, you serving the people, but also being accessible and being mindful of why you're there to make a difference. And sometimes to make a difference can can put you in isolation. You know,
Mm.
I mean, it was a great sacrifice. I had one of the largest gatherings, of any of the elected officials, and part with the purpose. And at one point, the pandemic and all that, we could experience 10,000 people out there in the inside having a wonderful time. A day of empowerment, and I raised money to put that event on. And, sometimes as much as $60,000 to $70,000. But it took that to do that. But it was a day empowerment. It was had a job fair, had an educational fair, had a health and wellness. And let me say this: and when you try to empower others, you won't you won't find it hard that people will come and and join forces with you. Corporate America supported me, and most of the things that I did. And I want to say this too. Alabama Power is in your community. They've been a great community partner. I know they were mine when I served. Even the hospital. The hospital has a responsibility to give back too. They got money that they raise that they could help you too, and certainly some of these banks. So, you got to create the environment so they can begin to understand what it is that you're trying to do. Yeah. So I hope I answered your question. I know it was long, but I wanted people to understand the premise in which I operated, and I know that you all to be the same kind of folk, and that's what makes this whole conversation so wonderful, is that I'm not in it by myself. You know, I'm amongst kindred people. Okay, and so I thank God for that. I really do.
Bishop.
I don't know if this is a question. So if you tell me that it's a question for just you and I, that I'll understand it. One of the things that I do have concern with is, how do I say this? The connection, or the, I don't know if it would be a connection or a disconnect when the constituents are voicing one thing,
Hmm.
and how do I want to say this? What you, I don't know if it would be what they are voicing is not necessarily what's best
Right,
for the community,
right,
or vice versa. What they're
right.
voicing,
Well,
be that
and
connect between the
yeah,
two.
and allow me to answer an early question that you asked when you talked about me being there 16 years and making the decision not to run again. And one of the reasons is because we got to make room for others,
Mm, good
and
point.
I see um, that I like to leave on my own terms. Most places I've left pretty much on my own terms. God has given me that kind of grace where I've left on my own terms. Nobody fired me, nobody kicked me out the door, or any of those things. But I left on my own terms. But I think sometimes we get complacent in these seats, and you get new folks who come along and may not share the same ideas, the same principles that you share, and sometimes you got to build and you got to rebuild relationships when it comes to that. But I think sometimes you know it's good to move on,
Mm.
and make room for young folks like yourselves who have new ideas, new approaches about what it is that you're going to do.
And mentor 'em.
Hmm?
I think we lack seasoned politicians that is not mentoring the younger people.
Yeah,
They have good mind. You have younger people with great minds, great ideas,
right,
but they need to understand government. They need to
yeah,
understand how things operate,
right, right,
and someone who has been in that position for a lengthy long time
right.
can show them the ropes like you're sharing with us on today. You're
Yeah.
you're
Well,
sharing some
I've
things.
and I've observed some of the city council meetings with the city of Gaston, and I really don't like the fact that you muzzle people when they come up to speak, and that you deliberately cut folk off. It's all about, I've been the, you know, I was council president. I've been the president pro tem. You know, I've been in everything but mayor. Okay,
Hmm.
and I ran once and came in fifth place out of 14 people, and the ones who came in higher than I did had run at least 3 times. So I felt pretty good. That was my first time. So I wasn't that big of a loser, if you ask me. But but I think um, you have to um, you have to make good decisions, because what decisions you make is going to affect somebody else's life. You know, and when you have folk who are there and they get set in their ways, and then everything becomes combative, then it's time to move. You know, and I've seen that. And to be honest with you, I've sat down with one of those persons myself and told that person how to position themselves, um, to be a swing vote and all, and how to to negotiate your committees and all that kind of stuff. And I've been disappointed,
Mm.
because when I see and I hear, and then when I look at the district and I don't see any real improvement, then what are you there for?
Hmm.
You know, them days are over with. We got to have some young minds in there and want to do some things different, and use different approaches to empower all of the citizens of Gaston. I love Gaston. It's still my home. Everything I am, everything that I've ever achieved is because of Gaston, because of the kind of tutelage that I received, both in my community and the educational system. I mean, I share this with you. There was a teacher called Mr. Fowler. He was taught English. He was not my homeroom teacher, but he was somebody I admired, because he was an English teacher, and I always liked to be, I like to be a wordsmith, okay? And so, but every morning throughout my high school years, I went to his homeroom class and he gave me a word and told me how to pronounce it and how to spell it. And so that's how I was able to augment my vocabulary as a result of that. Okay. Now I forgot most of the stuff that I used to know, but but I'm just saying that you can learn from anybody, but you got to put some skin in the game.
Hmm.
My job was to get to him before homeroom class, because he arrived there early, and I still get up early, and so I got there early, and I used to, matter of fact, I used to, and especially in the wintertime. I mean, in the wintertime, I would get there right there on 11th Street. I think it's 11th Street over there, Forest, what is it, Chestnut Street. I'd get over there and around about 7:30, because I knew Miss Donald was gonna come through with that big old Cadillac she was driving, and she was gonna give me a ride when she see me walking. And
Hmm.
oh, okay.
Hmm.
So there's some good things can happen when you get up early, And I want you all to always get there early. Don't be the one that walks in the council meeting. You be there before anybody get there. Or the board meeting, because then you get to observe it. See, that's the other thing, is learning body language. You know, see, my background is sociology, and so I observe people and behavior, and I could tell what kind of day we were gonna have at the council
Oh wow.
based on what I observed.
Mm.
I knew when they weren't gonna let Hoyt do nothing today. And so, but I knew that, because I observe, and that's what you got to pay attention to, folks. Look around you, not just be in the moment, but you got to observe your surroundings, because you can learn from that, and then you learn people's dispositions. And I know already how this vote finna go down because I done observed.
You don't observe, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's ask you a question from our viewers. It said, Mr. Hart, can you address the strategy that
Hmm.
some are subscribing to, which is not to vote in the primary on next Tuesday because there are three African American mayor candidates and waiting to vote in the runoff?
That would be a travesty. If you think about our folk didn't die for the primary. I mean, for the general election, they died for the primary because we were trying to get there. And for us to resolve to not voting until there's a runoff would be derelict, and a shame, really. If you think about all those folks like Brother Lowry and all those, Jack Lowe and all these other people who have worked and forget his name, Reverend, uh, man, I can't think of his name.
Fleming, was that who you
Reverend
said?
Fleming, that's
Fleming.
right, Reverend Fleming. All these folk, and they marched, and I marched with them too. Yeah, my mama didn't want me to march, but I told her I was going to the playground, and when they got to the top of Mr. Billy Hill, baby, I was in that line. Okay, and marched all the way up there, that gazebo. That's where we used to meet at gazebo. And Reverend Flemings be up there preaching because they always march, in Sixth Street. They come through Sixth Street when they march, and they came right in front of our house. So it would be derelict, really, if we allow that have that kind of mentality that we're going to wait. But then suppose that your person that you like,
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't show up at the poll, only needed
Mm-hmm.
that one vote,
Yeah.
and understand that one vote can determine
That's right.
an election.
Right.
That one vote. So that means that your one vote count, and you got to make it count. But the only way you make it count is that you got to show up.
Show up.
Mm-hmm.
You got to show up.
You've got to show up. And so when uh, I just think, if you have a historical understanding of what that vote means, and the fact that people left this world too soon
Too
and died
soon.
too often
Too long.
to get that right to vote. Mickey Williams, even my auntie who lived to be about 95, when she died, Butyl May Seeley. She used to be a Seeley when she was here, but they integrated Woodworth and all these other places around the city. Um, and listen, and my aunt, for all practical purposes, was a very fair-skinned woman. So in many cases, she could have passed for white, but she didn't.
Mm.
She was out there on the front line, you know, and trying to make a difference because she knew that her son and others needed an opportunity, her nephews like me, like
Mm-hmm.
you all, need an opportunity to be able to serve, And so I hope that we don't do that because that wouldn't be right, you know.
Right.
And if you
There's
don't do it
another.
for everybody else, do it for your ancestors.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's another question
Hmm.
posed to you, Pastor Hart. What do you recommend people do that are interested in getting involved in their local government,
Hmm.
but not necessarily want to run for office?
Well, I tell folks that all politics is local, and local could either mean being a part of your neighborhood association. I think that you all have neighborhood meetings, or so. If you don't, then that's an opportunity to organize the neighborhoods, the various neighborhoods within these various districts, and rally behind trying to improve the quality of life in those communities. I think volunteering for school. You can still make a difference. You don't have to necessarily run for office, but listen, I don't need to be in the office and you never show up to council meeting.
Hmm.
You know, you voted for me, but you don't show up for me.
Mm.
Yeah. And you know, for all practical purposes, why did you vote for me if you weren't going to support me? See, I need your support. I need your presence. I need, I need your appearance because it makes a difference. And so, what we got to understand that, the city is bigger than just the city council's office. There are services that you may be getting or not getting, but they need to be addressed. You know, the potholes. You know, the storm sewers. I mean, covers. Some of them are off. You know, and we had a situation where a young girl was drowned, got washed into the culvert. And body ended up 7 miles, away from where she went into this culvert and stuff. And so, what I'm saying is, you can't ignore it. And if it's a cover that need to be on there, it should have been on there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And so, there are many facets to government. And you need to know how these folks spending the money. How much money going to this district? How much money going to that district? You see, and you don't have to be elected to raise that issue, because most of those things are public if you inquire about them. You know, and if you don't, uh, then you can write and ask, because it's public information. None of that stuff is private, and so you have a right to know and how these dollars are spent.
That's right.
So there are many opportunities for persons to get involved. You know, um, black on black crime is a serious issue in our community. You know, and so how do you combat that? Well, I think, as I shared with somebody just earlier this week, matter of fact, it was one of our judges who happened to be a white gentleman that I knew when he was a little bitty kid. Now is a judge, but I was sharing him that parenting is a luxury. He said, "Well, how so?" I said, "Because we take for granted that people have been afforded good parenting, but there are generations of persons who've not been afforded good parenting, and so it's going to take us teaching them how to be good parents." You know, we dealing with a generation that don't know God, don't have a fear for God, don't have a fear for dying, or any of those things. It's a fearless generation, and that doesn't speak to everyone, but there's a serious um, uh, dynamic in our community, and the fact of the matter is that we need good parents.
Yep.
But you got to be taught that. Years ago, the church provided these resources for us, but now we let the DHR and all them, do those parenting classes and all that, and what have you. But the church need to get back to that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And listen,
If they are allowed,
right.
you know
Well,
what I'm
the
saying.
church,
A lot
well,
of times,
it's
you
separation of church and state. So whatever the church decide they want to do,
right.
they can do it. Yeah. Now it might imposition you because you're a board member.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the same time, you ain't got to want to be teaching class. You can have somebody else teach a class.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So you
I
got
got
to,
you.
there's still opportunities to do that. But I think that's what's missing, and that's why we see so much of what is happening. Of course, unemployment is one of those things. Economic parity within our communities. You know, the other thing is there ought to be some new stuff happening on in your district.
Right.
City ought to be having some interest, some economic interest in your district. You still got General Times plant up there that's still there. And I don't know if it's a reuse for that, but saying to me that we got these suppliers for Honda and all that. Why hadn't they located there? It's equipped. Generally they're gonna gut them out anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying these are opportunities. you know. And East Gaston got a lot of empty big places over there, you know. And so, um, Bishop T, that might be an opportunity. You know, you need to go and look and survey all of these empty buildings, these manufacturers that are empty, and see what could go there, you know. And I think it's good too that as you serve, that you join other organizations, and attend national meetings because you might get some ideas in terms of how you come back and help your own community. You know, a lot of times, I when I went and I um, would attend national meetings, that's what I do. I try to go and see what it is I could duplicate or repeat in my community, and a lot of times we did that. You know, part of with the purpose. I went to Alaska and won the number one neighborhood program in the United States of America. Number one out of all. I mean, Houston beat out Houston, Los Angeles, all these communities. I won number one for part of with a purpose, and then that was in 2011. In 2013, I went back and they said, "Well, we're gonna give you number one again." So they gave me fourth place. Okay, so but I'm just saying, this is how you empower your community. But a lot of things that I learned about neighborhoods and what could happen. I started a reading club. You know, I started a walking club. What I did was take the school that was in my neighborhood. What I did was widen the sidewalk so that two or three people could pass, and start a walking club around the school. Didn't take a whole lot of money. Probably took about $10,000 to widen the sidewalk that already exists, but it got people together. You know, so these are things that that you can do, and you're on the board. I mean, what reading club is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can read, you can do anything. They tell me. You can do math, you can do science, if you can read. Yeah, but y'all the right people. I mean, I'm just excited. And then and other thing that excites me is the fact that you all are young, but you're mature and young. See, there's a difference. You know, a good example would be that Kilpatrick was smart but immature. Could have gone on to been senator and governor, if you will, because he was a great orator. You know, and incidentally, my aunt used to babysit him in Detroit. Lived right down the street from him,
That's the guy that was the mayor there.
was the mayor, right,
Right.
right. But
Where is he
good.
now? Is he still in jail or did he get out?
No, he's passing a big old church
Mm-hmm.
there. He's probably doing better than he did as mayor.
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I know we don't like Trump, but Trump so blessed him, and I'm glad he did. He pardoned him, and so that was good. And because he's too talented, and hopefully he uses his talent the right way. And so I think that's good. But but I'm just saying, you all have that balance, and that's what it takes for leadership to have the balance, to understand what your purpose is and why you're there, and that and what your goals are in terms of how you impact your people, impact the residents, and but there's just
That's a lot of wisdom, and of course, wisdom come with experience.
mhm,
And you did 16 years, and so there's a lot of great ideas. And we
right.
appreciate you taking out of your busy schedule to come and share with us
Yes, sir.
on today. Just one more time in your final say, would you just encourage the people to go to the poll on August 23rd? Just gonna let you just
Well,
give your final thought for us.
well, I just think it's important, yes, and that you cannot allow yourself to miss this opportunity to change the dynamics of the council, of the school board, um, because so much is predicated on us getting the right folk in place. But the only way we can ensure that people get in the place where they need to be is for you to show up, and you got to show up early. Can't show up late. You got to show up early. You know, if you're gonna make some noise at the poll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what you got to do, and that's what we're counting on and we're dependent on, because the council of the board member is not going to be any greater than the folk who send him there or send them there. So it's just important that we get there, and just remember that your folk and my folk died so you could have a right to vote, and for you not to vote would be a shame. And so I want to encourage you, and that you prayerfully consider going to the poll. And I think I shared with you, Bishop T, at your rally, that my daughter was a student at Spelman, but on Tuesday she drove from Atlanta to Birmingham to vote, because that's how important voting is in my house. And so I'm saying you ought to have the same kind of tenants in your house. That I don't care where you are, you better make yourself. If you don't vote absentee, you better show up. Okay, and that's what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
These young folks are counting on you. Pastor Z and Bishop T are counting on you, and Worthy, they are counting on you. And who else is running? They're counting on you.
Mm-hmm.
You show up, whoever you vote for. But I want you to vote for these folks right here. So they're good folks, okay? And they got what it takes. They're educated, they're smart, they're intelligent, and they're approachable, okay? And so they are ready to make a difference in the lives of the citizens of Gaston.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It could be it's gonna be a lot of different, well, a lot of different faces in this race. Um it
Change is
could
good.
it could be history. We could make history here. We have three African Americans running for mayor.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those three could possibly be sitting in that driver's seat.
That's right.
But either way that it goes, we want the right people in the right position
That's
so
right.
that we can move Gaston forward. And prayerfully and hopefully we can move Gaston forward as people, the red, yellow, black, or white. We all need to come together.
That's right.
And I said this at a forum. I want Gaston to be a place where all of us can be proud to say, I live in Gaston,
That's right.
Alabama. Not just the folks that live on Rainbow Drive,
Yeah.
but even those that live off Tuscaloosa Avenue, those that live in the Mill Village, those that live up North Gaston by Oakland Estates. Those the areas that are actually neglected. Will probably get, prayerfully and hopefully, they will get some attention. And so East Gaston as well. Those areas. So um,
Well, you all
go to
talk
the polls.
about uniting, and that's to be the seems to be the central theme of you all's campaign is uniting, and that's where you can do it. You know, you can do it because at the
Right.
end of the day, it's about the Gaston citizen. And last I checked, there's no difference in the Gaston citizen.
That's right.
They
That's
all
right.
citizens of Gaston.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Hart, we appreciate you, man.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Last time we tried to get you on, I think you was in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I was. And,
Yeah. So
yeah.
we glad you was
But
able
we
to come
home now.
on.
You know, I'm glad to be. I tell folk I've been across the world, but ain't nothing like home. Nothing like home. Okay. Home is where it's at. Okay. U.S. is the best place in the world.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
God bless you, man. You have a
All right.
wonderful night, and we
All
thank
right.
you again
Likewise.
for the wisdom and knowledge
Yeah.
and the information you have shared with us right here on Real Talk.
Well, good luck to both of you. and
Thank you so
I'd love
much.
Thank you.
to uh, to try to be at you all's victory party. How about that?
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
We're
All
going
right.
to have one.
Okay, I know it.
Listen,
I feel it's in the air.
listen. Win or lose, I'm going to have
We
one.
gonna have
That's right.
one.
I'm going to
That's
celebrate.
that's
I'm
right.
going to
You
celebrate
should.
regardless.
You should. You should. Absolutely. Well, thank you all for having me.
All
Thank
right.
you for being here.
Yes.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. We have really enjoyed Mr.
A lot
Hoyt.
of good information.
He's got a lot of information for you. He got a lot of information for you. And he will, he has a lot to share with us. He really do. There was a post, Ms. Worthy said, vote Councilman Thomas E. Worthy, Huff, Latham, Smith, and Gtaw. Ms. Latham said, Ms. Yvette Latham said, thanks to Real Talk, we have received more information related to governing body issues, solutions, and valuable information in Gaston. We appreciate your diligence. T and Z.
TNT. Auntie. TNT.
T. So, Bishop, just share with me some of the things that you desire to see happen for District 1.
Well, I'll be try to be very brief. My ultimate desire is to unify District 1, and unify us in such a way that we're unified uh, as District 1, but as well as with the city. So my desire is to work with those incoming councilmen and whoever the incoming mayor is, that we can think one, and that we can realize that we're better together, we're stronger together. And in doing that, unifying the district, my desire is to build trust between myself and the constituents, to be that voice at City Hall, to voice the concerns, uh, the desires of District 1 uh, at the City Hall.
So, when you say build trust, let's talk about that for how could you or how would you attempt to build trust? Do you think trust has been broken with District 1 and the person that has represented in the past?
I don't really know if trust has been broken. But I think in order to work together, there has to be a level of trust.
Right,
In
right.
order to work collectively, you have to trust who you're working with. You
Okay,
have
I remember you asking Mr. Hoyt a few minutes ago, what happens when the constituents are saying one thing and the person that's the representative is saying another thing, and they're not saying the same thing. I think I've seen that happen with that particular district, where I haven't ran into anyone that would have actually agreed with some decisions that have been made. So you gaining a trust or building trust with District 1, uh, would it be a unison's voice pretty much between you and the people that you are
well,
representing?
well, this is what I do understand is that you're never always going to have 100% agree.
Right, right,
There's going to be a percentage of people who disagree with every decision. But I do think that um, you there is a need to voice the sentiment of the majority of your district or the majority of the constituents. And that's the way I feel about that. Everybody's not gonna be happy.
right, exactly.
Everybody's not gonna be pleased.
Right.
But even if there are opposers, even if there's a decision that has to be made, I still feel that the people have to be presented the pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
If you if there's a time to where my decision is different than that of the constituents, have they been informed
Mm-hmm.
well?
Yeah.
Have they been um made aware of the pros and cons? Have
Right.
and so that's important to me. Pastor Hart said something, to be approachable.
Right.
We are elected by the people,
Mm-hmm.
so we have a responsibility to the people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be important to me, because as much as they need me at the city hall, you heard Pastor Hart say I need them.
Right.
And in order to do that, there's got to be that level of trust and that level of confidence that we're being represented
Right.
uh, to the best ability, that we're being represented well. And then it's important to me to clean up District 1. And I know I've heard that throughout most of the districts, throughout most of the city, to clean up the city, to make our streets safer, not just as it relates to crime, but one of the things that someone said to me, and I can't remember now, we've been answering so many questions, and all is it talked about one street where there's clearly no trucks are supposed to be on that street, but there are those people or those companies that are violating those laws and still taking those routes. That puts not only our children in harm's way, but it puts the community in harm's way. There's a reason that the sign says no trucks. So it's a matter of making our streets safer. It is my desire to build a working relationship with the school system at large, with the
Mm-hmm.
superintendent, but even more so with those schools that are in District 1. And I know that's Litchfield Middle School and Adams Elementary School, to work a relationship with those principals, Mr. Parker and Mrs. Smitherman, to see the what we can do. What is it that we can do? What help can we render to you to make things better, to help, to aid in our children being better? You said earlier there's a reason that those reading scores are lower.
Right.
And then sometimes, to cut out some of the chatter, we need to make the community aware.
Right.
This is not a
And,
negative
and,
part
right.
like
Right.
you
Right.
did. You
And,
know,
yeah. Right.
this is
And
not
that's the thing. There's a lot of, you make it sound like the school is just,
right,
and I heard them say that I'm not blaming the superintendent, I'm not blaming the teachers, I'm not blaming. Well, who you blaming?
right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't. I'm not in the schools. You know. So the thing is, we want what's best, and we're going to do everything we can to help them. One of the main things that we must have, as just as Steve said, that not as much as you they need you to represent them. You need them, showing up to get involved. That's one of the things that is lacking in our schools. And I'm not just saying in District 3.
Right.
Schools as a whole, and the Gaston City schools, we have one school that have 100% participation when it comes to parent involvement, and that's Euro Brown. You have 100%, and you can talk to your cousin, Miss Maxwell. She'll tell you she probably have a PTSO meeting, and she probably have 5 people there. Parents are not getting involved, and we need parents involved. Parents get involved.
And let me say something while you're at that point. And I agree with you That's a good statement as well. Show people that they matter, and they'll show you that you matter. I agree with that. I also want to say this to the statement that you just made with respect to Ewell Brown. I'm going to say this, and I hope I can say this right.
Let's say it.
I think that I would, yeah, there's close to 100%. Because a lot of times we have the mentality that that's where we're going to take our children because they get a better education. My belief is stay where you are. Work with the principal at Adams. Work with the principal at Litchfield Middle, at Thompson, at Stripling. Work with them to better that school. That's what you're saying. Join the PTSO.
Right.
Get involved in what's going on and don't feel like I can just take my child over here because it's better. We can work to make our inner city schools as good as Ewell Brown is. But you can't just say, oh, well, I'm going to take my child there because it's a better school. You can do your part to make the school where you are and in the district where you are a better school. But
Okay.
we need that help.
Right now, watch this. Your Brown has nothing to do with your kid reading by 3. They don't even have your child at that age. That is a parent getting involved, doing some things on their own, and there are programs that is around in our system. But there are some things that we have got to do ourselves. Your child reading by 3 has nothing to do with, and listen, Ewell Brown's part of, and I'm not talking about Ewell Brown. I commend that, but I just want to bring this out because we look at Ewell Brown as the model school. It has an A. It is the model school. It is. And I say all the time as a school board member that when you have weak limbs, those are the limbs that need to be rehabbed. Those are the limbs that need to be rehabilitated, so that it will line up with the stronger limbs. So, what are you saying? The weaker schools are the areas where we need to do the most work in, and seeing some of our top notch people there to help bring that. And I've said this because there was an idea that our superintendent had, and I'll share it with you all. He had thought about changing principles and moving principles around in the system. That's an ideal. And there are some of the principles that, they say are so wonderful and so great. I want to see them move to the areas that have the lower scores and bring those scores up. If you move some, if they do so wonderful, they do so great. Let's move around. See, we to the point, and I don't mind saying this. We're to the point that we're so caught up in what color the principals are in some of these schools. And I've been fed up with that because I believe that we need to stop counting how many black principals and assistant principals and how many white principals. I think the qualified person need to receive the job. They can do the job. They can do the job. They went to school to learn how to do the job. Race has played a major part in where some of our people land in our system. There's some places you'll never see. You haven't seen it, and I don't think you ever see African American as the principal at Gaston High or Gaston Middle. I'm sorry. You may not never see one at Gaston City. You may not never see one at Ewell Brown. You may not never see one at Mitchell.
Let me because I agree to a certain point, but it's almost like when you talk about principles, and it's almost like playing a hand of spade. And sometimes you get that hand to where you got all the good cards. You know what I'm saying? You got all the cards to make those books, and you just need to have the wisdom and knowledge. You can have a good hand and still misplay that hand because you really don't know what you're doing, or
Right.
you really don't have the knowledge. Then you can have a bad hand and somehow work those 4 books out of their hand to keep you afloat. I guess what I'm saying is that many times, okay, somebody just said something on here about Chromebooks, and you yourself on the campaign trail, you've made it. It was Monica Marstell at 749. You yourself have made on the campaign trail. You've talked about when you were at school how you felt at that time things were being done as it related to Litchfield High School. The hand that we were dealt on the east side at Litchfield. But regardless of the hand you dealt, how do you play it?
Yeah.
Is my thing. How do you play it? Do we sit and we continue to mope about what we don't have, or do we pull what we have together and make the best out of it? That's when our minds run back to Tuscaloosa Avenue, to Carver High School, where they didn't have the books, but they had educators. Here is the point that I'm trying to make. They had educators and they had parents that made sure the third link was in place, that the students did what they were supposed to do. Education is a triangle between students, the school system, whether it be the principal, the faculty, the superintendent, whatever, and then those parents. And everybody has to play their part in order for children and schools to be successful. Everybody has to play their part. And this is what I feel. Yes, parenting is different from what it was, oh my goodness, the days of Carver. Parenting is different from what it was when you and I were in school. Here is the thing. My grandmother had 13 grandchildren. It was understood that when you graduated from high school, you were going to college. Yes, she softened over the years, but it didn't make a difference. When you graduated high school, you were going somewhere to continue your education. It didn't make a difference what was going on in our lives. I have a cousin right now that was grown and going through something, and my grandmother, she was still pretty much sharp. But after my cousin got through moping, she said to her, "But are you still determined to be somebody someday?" Those things were driven into us. It was put into us because of our parents. And parents held the school accountable. If we came home, it wasn't about, oh, I had to take this top off, I had to stop wearing these shoes. If you came home and that teacher was not doing what they were supposed to do, our parents were going out to that school the next day to get some understanding.
Yeah.
So
and you didn't want that.
We didn't want it.
No.
And they wasn't going out there because they didn't let you play for at playtime, or because you had the wrong shirt on. You weren't supposed to have it on. Education was, you were gonna get your education. And they would tell us quick and fast, don't go out there to that school cutting up in front of those white folks. That's what they said.
Embarrassing me.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so we've got to get back to the point to where we realize, while we're working with our children, we cannot continue to complain because parents are not doing their jobs. Parents are not. And then you think about it too, how many children go home and there's not a parent, because a parent is working to make sure that there's food on the table, to make sure that there's clothes on backs. You think about that. You think about the number of single parent homes now to where children come home and the parent is not there, not because they don't want to be, because it's a need that they be on somebody's job. So then that goes back to, and I heard this somewhere, at 5 o'clock, everything closes. What community center, what place is open beyond 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening to be there for our children? And you can't penalize a parent because they're trying to provide. So we have to find ways to get our parents, to get them more involved, and stop complaining about them not being involved. It is a sign of the time. Do we continue to complain about it? And that goes for each of us. Can I continue to complain about the schools, complain about the children, complain about the city of Gaston? I think it was Stephanie Johnson that said about people who want to get involved in local politics but don't necessarily want to hold an office. There are so many things, and I'm guilty of it, complaining, but what am I doing? What am I doing to make anything that I have complained about better? What am I doing? Did I join the local NAACP? Did I join the Etowah Voters League, or all these other places, all these other organizations? Am I a part, or did I develop something to make it better? Did I volunteer to go to the recreation center or wherever, and so that it could be open until 9 o'clock or till 8 o'clock or whatever the case may be? But we all have a responsibility. We all have a responsibility to do our part, and not just complain. I mean, you know how many parents, I guarantee you there are some parents at Ewell Brown that don't attend PTSO. I was a school teacher, and I said this to my niece the other day. Make yourself visible. Call that teacher. Let her know that you are concerned about your child. Because guess what? Most of the time, when a teacher knows that a parent is going to be on them, they're gonna do what they are supposed to do. And it's not going into school throwing your weight around, but it's letting those teachers know, your child know, I'm here and I'm gonna make sure that you get the education. Closed at 7 Monday through Friday. We had a lot of one parent homes, and we helped with homework and reading. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully, Pastor Z, hopefully we as a people and we as a city, let me share this, and then I promise I'm gonna be quiet. One of the major things that I saw, and this is just my opinion, is my observation. I'll say 4 years ago, let me say it that way. There was a climate of just hatred, where you were accustomed to saying excuse me, or letting people walk in the door before you, walking into Walmart or wherever else. It was like it just, that the climate was just got so negative. But I noticed today, and a couple of things in the last few days, that climate seems to be changing. And I thought about it because today I went to the nutrition bar, and there was a lady, the postman was coming out. I was coming out. She was going in, and she was like, "What flavor did you get?" And I told her Bahama Mama, and she stopped and had a conversation with me. We were not of the same. It was a Bahama Mama tea. This is what I'm saying right here. This is what I can't. Anyway, but we had a conversation. She shared with me, I shared with her. And I say this, morals and values don't just happen.
Right.
They don't just function out here. They function through people. They are activated through people. They're executed through people. And I said this, and I've said it on the campaign trail. I'm just sick of negativity.
Yeah.
I'm sick of dirty politics. I'm
Yeah.
sick of it just being ugly. It doesn't have to be.
Don't have to be.
It doesn't have.
And again, we have to live among each other when it's all over with.
You see what I'm
When
saying?
it's all over, you doing
And
this for what?
and
For what?
and listen,
What's going to happen when it's all over with? And you got to see each other.
and listen. August the 23rd,
Yeah.
when the polls
5 days
close.
away. 5
Let's
days
say
away.
when the polls close on August the 24th. See, this is the way I feel now. If I'm not the winner on August the 23rd, I can't just walk away.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I can't just walk away. So then if I walk away, it says that everything that I've said has been just so I could get in the office. So
Right.
what do I have to do? I have to turn around and help and be there for whoever wins District 1. All this, we are one and together and unified. We've got to come away, whether it's red, black, white,
Yeah.
purple, whatever we are, straight, gay, whatever it is, and understand that we work together. We
Yeah.
are stronger together. We are
Stronger.
stronger together. And so, that's what I see. And that's what I think. I think that we won't get this chance again. That's the way I see it. And we can I can't remember which candidate it was. It may have been what's come on, help me.
Where was we?
We were at this past weekend. Where were we? Cornerstone.
Cornerstone.
Uh Avery was there.
Ford and Worthy.
Ford
Okay.
was the one that said it.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not have been there. It may have been at the debate at the high school. This is the opportunity for Gaston can either thrive or Gaston can go the other way. There are two extremes, and the citizens of Gaston have got to make this work. So,
Yeah. I mean, as hard as those that, and not everybody, but there's been quite a few folk knocking on doors. Have had teams knocking on doors. All of that will be in vain if the people don't go out to vote. And
right.
they shared and said there was a very low turnout for the county commissioner race, the most recent race that we had. Very low turnout. Exercise your right. Again, you've been given. We had people fight so that you have the right to cast your vote. There are quite a few people you're going to be voting for. It's your right. It's your vote. I mean, use your right. Go and cast your vote. And I'm like you, Bishop. At the end of the day, when it's all over with, 23rd is over with, I'm gonna be so happy when it's all over with. I promise you I will. Regardless of the results, what I do is not gonna stop. I'm still going to be instrumental I'm gonna be showing up for board meetings. I'm gonna be showing up at schools. Uh, I built some relationships in 6 years. I done built some relationship with instructors, with people at the central office, people as principals. You ain't got to be a board member. Go talk to them about issues that you see taking place. I don't have to be a board member to go talk to the superintendent. You do what you do. That's what I'm doing. And I said this before. I'm not a politician. I'm not a politician. I hate this part of it. Because it get ugly for no reason. It don't have to be. I don't have to put you down in order to pump myself up. And you shouldn't have to. People shouldn't be putting you down because they may want to vote for somebody else. Just vote for who you want to
Vote
vote
for who you
for.
gonna vote
Don't
for.
be dogging
Support who
somebody.
you gonna support. But
Exactly.
you don't have to
Don't
throw
attack.
shade on
Exactly.
another person to support the person that you're going to support. You're
Yeah.
exactly right, Pastor Z.
Right. Just vote for who you want to vote for. I hear some goons, and I'm gonna say it like this: I hear some goons on Friday on WMGJ radio, and they come on at 11 o'clock, and they it must be some hired folks that attacks all pastors. I mean, is they atheists? I wonder. But they they attack you, they attack me, they attack Pastor Steve. We've done nothing to them. I don't even hardly see these folk. But and I'm gonna call their name Curly DeRamus and this Solomon guy. They are on there I'm just downright dogging us. For what? What have we done? It doesn't matter. But I'm used to being talked about. It don't bother me like that. But here's the thing. People need to be careful because everybody, you sit behind a mic and talk. That's all you do. You sit behind a mic and run that mouth. You living in a dangerous time nowadays that everybody, and it don't bother me, but it may bother somebody that know me.
That you're not responsible for their actions.
Can I play the disclaimer? Can I play the disclaimer? I'm just
Listen,
saying.
don't play that disclaimer, but I am going to say this. And just let me say it again.
I know it.
And I started a series last night. What was it? It's gonna cost you.
It's gonna cost you.
There are some times to where we got to do the Michelle Obama. They go low, we go high.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say this. What we can say is thank you. And I'll say it this way, and I promise you I'm through for tonight. I'll say it this way. Thank you. We can say thank you. Because of some of that negativity,
yeah,
there are people who went and searched out Tanya Latham, searched for Zachary Huff, search for Steve Smith, search for Thomas Worthy, search for this one or search for that one.
And that same negativity is a reason why Jeffrey Washington was actually able to do more than what it was expected, because people discovered what was really going on and they decided to go a different route.
Exactly.
They was going another way. But when they found out what was going on, and that's the thing people realize, and that's why I don't want attached to me. Because sometimes it's the folks that attach themselves to you that will cost you. So you don't want everybody attached to you, because some of the foolishness that they do could cost you.
I said I wasn't going to say nothing else, but I'm going to say this, and then I promise you I'm going to give it back to you. My last words will be this. August the 23rd. Everybody. Make your way to the polls. August the 23rd. Cast your vote.
That's right.
It is important that we exercise our right to vote. That's from right. District 1 to District 7. It did exercise your right to vote. People are already saying it's going to be a low turnout. Let's prove them wrong.
Prove them wrong.
Let's make our way to the polls. Vote for your person. Whoever that is. Make your way to the polls and let's vote August the 23rd. And let's do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
Do it.
Isn't that the night can say? Just do it.
That's right.
That's right. Do it. Pastor Huff, I'm gonna vote the 23rd. You gonna vote the 23rd?
I'm definitely going to vote.
I'm definitely going to vote.
I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote for me. No. No.
No, 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 no.
Nobody else but me.
And I wish everybody well. Let me tell you, because I've had fun. I may be tired, but I've had fun. I've had an awesome team.
We didn't talk about the skate, the old school skate. Oh, we had a ball, y'all. Y'all missed it.
Did you see me out there skating?
I wish. Did you recorded some of it, right?
I did.
Next time
we may do a special show before Tuesday.
And I need that recording because I'm gonna throw some of it.
Let's just do a special show and just
we may do a show Monday, y'all. We may be back Monday. If we come back Monday, we want y'all to come back with us, okay?
And we'll have some excerpts from the old school skate park.
Cause Pastor Z was.
I knew it was gonna come down to you.
I was jamming. Go tell the truth now, Bishop T.
You did. You was DJing now.
DJ Show Enough let me get on there. My brother Sean DJ Show Enough. He said I could. He let me play a little, a little ones and twos.
You brought back some memories.
Oh yeah, old school.
Old school.
Yeah.
At the skate.
I don't know that new stuff. All I know is.
I like this new stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like one need about them. Because my salvation is not predicated on what I hear. That's predicated on what I believe. Yeah. So I like some of this new stuff.
August 23rd. Everybody go to the polls. Cast your vote. Remember, Bishop Tanya Lynn Latham, Z. Andre Huff. Remember those names. And of course, you have a mayor race with a lot of people there. Just several districts. Vote for the person of your choice, but do vote. I'm Z. Andre Huff, your Gadsden School Board representative for District 3. In 2017, I vowed to be the voice for our community, and I've done just that. I was instrumental in hiring Mr. Tony Reddick, our system's first African-American superintendent. I served as the first board chairman as a minority voted by my colleagues for 2 years on the first elective Gadsden School Board. I led with integrity and transparency and promoted fair and diverse policies, insisting daily safety and security of all students and staff. I continue to promote a quality education that will shape all children into college and career readiness. Just as I've fought in the past, I'm determined to keep on fighting for our community in District 3. On August 23rd, I'm asking for your support at the polls. Please help me help you. Re-elect Z. Andre Huff to the Gadsden School Board of Education District 3, the vowed voice that fights for you. This is a political paid advertisement to re-elect Z. Andre Huff to the Gadsden School Board of Education District 3. I'm Z. Andre Huff, and I approve this message.